Hi, this is Dan Smith of DPS Legal Counsel and the host of Legal Scrubs. Today is the inaugural first episode of Legal Scrubs, a podcast for entrepreneurs, small businesses, and healthcare professionals. Today's episode is going to focus on two questions. Is growing hemp legal? And is the processing of hemp to get products from it legal? And so let's get started. First of all, what is hemp? And why should entrepreneurs and small businesses in the state of Tennessee care? Well, first of all, let me just kind of back up and talk about the hemp industry and products that come from hemp. There have been licensed growers of hemp in Tennessee since 2015, and they're growing in numbers every year. This past year, when the deadline for filing for a license came and went, there were about 3,000 applications for hemp growing licenses in the state of Tennessee. That is a huge number. Hemp growth in the state of Tennessee last year, 2018, was the fifth largest in the United States, about 3,300 acres. And it's only going to get bigger. And that's why entrepreneurs and small businesses who are interested in the hemp and CBD market niche are kind of looking at some of these legal questions that come up surrounding hemp and CBD. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So what is hemp? Hemp is a plant that is in the same family as marijuana, but it's not marijuana. Marijuana is a cannabis plant that contains a high level of the psychoactive drug THC. And hemp does contain a small level of THC, but not a psychoactive level of THC, whereas marijuana may have a concentration of THC of 3 to 20%. Hemp, by definition, must have a THC concentration of 0.3%, not enough to be a psychoactive drug. And so hemp is a plant that contains a whole range of what are called cannabinoids, which are chemical compounds that are naturally produced in cannabis plants, both marijuana and hemp. Although, like I said, THC is in both, but in marijuana it's a high concentration, and it's that's the psychoactive compound in marijuana that gives it its psychoactive nature. In hemp, that's not there. It has THC, but it's a very low level, 0.3%. But cannabis plants, including hemp, have a whole range of these chemical compounds that are contained in the plant that are called cannabinoids. THC is one. The other, which is kind of the focus of what I'm going to be talking today about, is CBD. CBD is an acronym for cannabidiol, and so that's why it's abbreviated or has the acronym CBD. It's easier to say than cannabidiol. But CBD is one of the cannabinoids that you find in hemp, and there has been an explosion throughout the country of CBD products. You see, and you find them in all kinds of places: coffee shops, wellness stores, health food stores, all kinds of places. And they run the gamut from tinctures, which are liquid drops that people put under their tongue, to edible products like gummies or anything like that contain the CBD compound. And you have people who use e-cigarettes and buy vaping oils. You can get vaping oils with CBD in it. There are topical lotions and creams, hand creams and body creams, body lotions that contain CBD. And so there's a whole range of CBD products. as well as just hemp products that contain CBD that can be purchased. So CBD is not a psychoactive drug. It's a chemical compound. It's one of the cannabinoids in hemp, and you have anecdotal evidence, at least, that is out there in the literature about what some people claim are wellness benefits to CBD, and that's why you have such an explosion in the marketplace for CBD products. So let me back up now, having given that kind of background, and talk about, is the growing of hemp legal? Well, back in the early days, say 1970, which I think is when the Controlled Substances Act came into law, the marijuana was listed as a Schedule I controlled substance. Schedule I is the highest level of controlled substances, and it's really for drugs or substances that have a high potential for abuse and no known medical use. Now, it's interesting that since that time, back in 1970 and today, it's clear that there is a medical use under the right circumstances for marijuana and for the chemical compounds that are found in the marijuana plant. That's why you have in a number of states legalized medical marijuana. You also have in some states legalization of recreational marijuana, but I'm putting that aside. I'm talking today about really about hemp and CBD, but I want to talk about how the laws have evolved since 1970. Well, so in 1970, when marijuana was put on the Controlled Substances Act Schedule I list as a controlled substance, the definition of what was marijuana under that Controlled Substances Act included hemp, because hemp is a member of the cannabis family, even though hemp does not contain a psychoactive level of THC. So from that point on, federally, hemp was illegal. Well, let's kind of fast forward to now, and I'm going to skip a lot of in-between stuff, but one of the key points in this whole evolution dealing with hemp and the CBD industry occurred last December 2018, when the 2018 Farm Bill was enacted basically very overwhelmingly in Congress and signed into law by President Trump. And it did a lot of things, but one of the things it did in the 2018 Farm Bill was remove hemp from being on the Controlled Substances Act as a Schedule I drug. It's no longer a controlled substance. There was a recognition by Congress and by the President and through the passage and signing of this law that hemp is different than marijuana. And so hemp, which is basically defined to be that cannabis plant variety that contains no more than 0.3 THC in it, that is hemp, and that is no longer on the Controlled Substances Act. So question number one, is growing hemp legal? The answer is essentially yes, because of the 2018 Farm Bill. Now there's some caveats or some limitations on that answer. The first is that the growing of the hemp has to be legal under state law. And so you have to look at your own particular state law to see if in fact the growing of hemp is legal. Now the Farm Bill makes clear that states cannot pass a law that prohibits the interstate commerce of hemp passing through their state. So the state couldn't prohibit or ban hemp from passing through an interstate commerce because of the 2018 Farm Act. But states could regulate hemp and basically within their state and make it either more stringently regulated than the federal government does now, or even prohibit the growing of it. In Tennessee, that's not the case. In Tennessee, the Tennessee Department of Agriculture actually has a web page devoted to the hemp industry. And to grow hemp legally in the state of Tennessee, you need a license from the Tennessee Department of Agriculture. You have to apply for the license, and then once you're granted the license, you're good to go to legally grow hemp. This past year, there were approximately 3,000 applicants for hemp licenses to grow hemp in the state of Tennessee. So hemp is a huge industry currently in Tennessee, and it is only going to get bigger. So that's the Farm Bill Act. Is hemp growing legal? Yes, it's not illegal federally, but you have to look at your state law to see if you can grow it legally. In Tennessee, yes, you can grow it legally if you have a license granted by the Tennessee Department of Agriculture. So now you're growing your hemp. Let's just assume that you've gotten your license, you're growing hemp. You want to process your hemp and produce CBD, which is one of the chemical compounds found in hemp, and that's the one that has so much marketability at this point, where you see products containing CBD everywhere. What can you do that? And if you look at the Tennessee Department of Agriculture webpage, you can see that there's no currently license required or regulatory oversight required for the processing of the hemp plant to produce CBD. And so, yes, you can do that. You're supposed to, under Tennessee law, notify the Department of Agriculture before you harvest the hemp for processing to make sure, and it's tested and inspected by the Department of Agriculture. They want to make sure that your product doesn't contain more than 0.3% THC. Assuming that's good and your inspection is clean on that, and that you don't have a problem with the level of THC in your product, in your hemp, then you're good to go. So let's see. That's essentially it right now on the growing and the processing of hemp itself. So what kind of entrepreneurs or small businesses are going to be impacted by this major sea change in the law dealing with hemp and CBD? Well, obviously people who are farmers or growers are going to be impacted and have the ability to basically develop a new product line or new crop line for their farms. People who process the grown hemp are going to have opportunities and business opportunities for processing hemp into CBD products, which could be just straight pure CBD isolate, which can then be sold to or marketed to others to use it in the making of their actual consumer retail products. You're obviously going to have makers of consumer products that contain CBD, whether it's oils, tinctures, edibles, all the kinds of things that contain CBD that are going to market. You're going to have brokers, wholesalers, retailers, testing facilities. All of these are companies and businesses that are going to be impacted by the change in law dealing with hemp and CBD. And this is going to be a huge business in the United States. It's projected that in the next several years, maybe 5 years, this could grow to be a $16-20 billion industry in the United States. So we're just on the very front edge, the cusp of this explosion in growth in this particular business industry. And I want to go back and just emphasize that hemp itself is not a psychoactive drug or plant, and CBD is not a psychoactive chemical compound. So that's just important to remember. This is not marijuana. And of course there is lots of changes in the laws dealing with the variety of cannabis known as marijuana, whether it's medical marijuana or recreational laws in certain states like Colorado and others. But this is different. Hemp and CBD is totally different than that. I will say that it's not unlikely that Tennessee will move towards medical marijuana legalization. I just recently saw a documentary don't know if it was on Netflix or on Amazon Prime, dealing with cannabis oil, which was essentially, I think, from the marijuana plant, had a higher level of THC being used in medical treatment of cancer. And of course, at this point, it's not been tested sufficiently. There are no approved treatments by the FDA using THC other than one or two that I'll mention. But for treatment of cancer, things like that, it's all anecdotal. But you can see that we're moving towards, as a society, using what we have available to us, whether it's hemp or other cannabis plants that contain compounds that can be of great benefit to people who need help with their situations, their conditions. So, but I'm getting off the subject a little bit, because really what I want to talk about is hemp and CBD. So, we've said that hemp is legal if you have it's federally legal. It's not a controlled substance any longer, and it's legal to grow in the state of Tennessee if you have a license. You need to have it inspected and tested before you harvest it, and you can process it and produce CBD. Now, are there any other legal restrictions or authorities you have to take into account with respect to your CBD business if you're an entrepreneur or small business person who goes into a CBD business? And the answer is yes, there are some restrictions and limitations, as you would expect. And they're going to be more and more as we go on, because this is, again, at the very cusp of this whole explosion of CBD business. And it's kind of interesting that in some respects the business side has gotten ahead of the legal side. You have products that you can find on the store shelves in various places that are not FDA approved, and you don't have any required third-party testing to make sure that the what you're buying is not only is it not tainted, but it contains what it says it has in it on the packaging for that product. And so that's where the rubber meets the road with where we are legally. The big changes, the big things to come are going to be from the Food and Drug Administration, or the FDA. On May the 31st of this year, just now when I'm recording this, would have been about 10 days ago, less than 2 weeks ago, the FDA had a public hearing dealing with hemp and CBD products. And what is clear from going through how that hearing went, what the comments, what was said, what's out there about the hearing, what the positions of the Federal Food and Drug Administration, what its positions are, is this: that number one, there is no FDA approval of CBD as a medicine for diagnosis, mitigation, treatment, or cure of any disease or condition. And if anyone makes a claim to the contrary with respect to CBD, they're going to get in trouble with the FDA. In fact, not long ago, the FDA sent on a single day in late March, I think they sent 3 warning letters to 3 different companies that were marketing CBD products on their online websites. And because of claims that were out there being made about their products that dealt with what you would normally think of as claims for medicines, that it would treat or diagnose or cure or mitigate that kind of thing, a particular condition or disease, the FDA said you can't do that. So that's one thing you have to keep in mind if you're going into the CBD business as an entrepreneur or small business, is that you are strictly forbidden from making any health claim about the CBD products. Well, the health claims are kind of out there in the atmosphere, on the internet everywhere. But if you go into a store that sells CBD products, it's basically the ones that are doing it with some thought in mind are basically talking about their products or showing their products to be what you might consider wellness products. They're not really talking about the CBD compound within the product doing anything to treat or cure or prevent or diagnose or do anything with respect to a disease or condition. It's just talking about general wellness and balance and things of that sort. It's a little new agey, honestly, right now. And that's the way it's probably going to be for the foreseeable future, because the FDA has not approved CBD as a medication, except last year the FDA did approve a drug called Epidiolex that's used to treat epilepsy in certain individuals. And it's interesting because the fact that that drug came on the market and was FDA approved and contains CBD, that approval by the FDA has caused an issue with respect to CBD products that are sold or marketed as dietary supplements, like tinctures, which you would put a drop or two or whatever under your tongue and promotes wellness and that kind of thing. But it's taken internally, so it's like it's a dietary supplement because of that. Or you have things that are sold as edibles, like gummies and lollipops and other things that has CBD in it, and it's marketed as providing make wellness and that kind of thing. Because of the fact that Epidiolex came onto the market last year as an FDA-approved medication containing CBD, technically, under the way the law works, you're not supposed to be able to sell dietary supplements containing that article, that drug that's been approved as an FDA-approved medicine, because essentially it's because you have an approved medicine out there that has the CBD in it, and the FDA's position is because of that you really can't sell dietary supplements that contain the CBD. Now they know that it's going on. The FDA knows it's going on, and they're not really at this point enforcing that because, like I said, the business has gotten ahead of the law a little bit, and it at least appears to be the case that if a seller of CBD products is not making medical claims with respect to their products, and it's clear that the CBD products they're selling are safe and not tainted, and their labeling is correct. It doesn't say it contains a certain level of CBD when it doesn't. That kind of thing. It doesn't at this point, at least. It may be that the FDA is just going to not bother with that too much because they have limited resources, and they've stated that their concern is. They've stated they have limited resources, and they've stated that their concern is protection of the public or consumers. And so, if a producer or a retailer or seller of CBD products is not making medical claims, and their products are properly labeled and they're safe, as far as no one's been hurt, and they've maybe had third-party testing of their products, and they're not marketing them with these medical claims. It's unlikely, at least at this point, it appears, based on what's happened so far, that people are going to get in trouble with the FDA. Now, having said that, you have to remember that it's still the case that the FDA's position is that because dietary supplements and food products that are introduced at least into interstate commerce are not permitted because CBD is in an approved drug, Epidiolex, you have to be aware that there is at least the possibility that the FDA may take some kind of enforcement action against anyone who's selling CBD products that are either food or dietary supplements. Now, with respect to topical treatments like hand lotions and creams, probably not much to worry about there. But with the others, it's possible. at least, that the FDA could take some action. It hasn't really happened yet, except with those warning letters that went out, but those really went out to companies that were selling online and making medical claims. Now, it's true that in some states, in some locations, local authorities may take action against CBD products because of the fact that they're not FDA approved, they haven't been authorized by the FDA to be sold. There have been reports that has happened in the state of Maine and in New York City, where local authorities, local or state authorities, have taken action to stop businesses from selling basically food and drink products containing CBD. Again, this is an evolving area. It's kind of, I hate to use the cliche, but it's kind of like the Wild West. There's going to be more regulation. It's coming. It's a huge industry. It's only going to get bigger, so there will be more regulation. But right now, the best you can take is that hemp itself is legal to grow. If you have a license in Tennessee, the making of CBD products, at least extracting the CBD, is illegal. You should test it to make sure it's what you sell if you're selling CBD products conform to your marketing and to your labeling. And it may be that you are selling, and if you're selling at retail to consumers, you definitely don't want to make any health claims. You don't want to, and you want to make sure your labeling and marketing is accurate. There could be some issues with the FDA, but for now, at least in Tennessee at this point, it hasn't really happened. And so that's kind of where we are. Key takeaways: no labeling or marketing of CBD products to have medical claims. And you're probably great with respect to making of products that are topical treatments like hand lotions that contain CBD. With food and dietary supplements, there's a gray area out there because the FDA hasn't approved the selling of dietary supplements. But because of this hearing that happened on May the 31st, it's not unlikely that the FDA won't. They may actually this year. Hopefully, they will come up with some statement. What could happen? I mean, there are several ways the FDA could go on this with respect to dietary supplements. Now, it's unlikely anything's going to happen with respect to making medical claims because, they're going to probably need to be clinical trials and approvals and everything for any kind of product containing CBD to be claimed as a medical treatment, and that's probably and almost certainly not going to change. If you're going to be trying to produce a medicine that contains CBD, you're really going to need to go through FDA approval. So if you're selling products for wellness or whatever, you don't want to make medical claims. But it's not unlikely that something will happen with dietary supplements from the FDA. And then one of the things they could do is, because of the fact that Epidiolex didn't start their clinical trials on Epidiolex or the CBD for Epidiolex until I think around 2006, 2007, something like that, and it was just approved this past year, 2018. If it can be shown and proven that that CBD products were being sold and marketed as dietary supplements prior to the clinical trials for Epidiolex, the FDA might have enough to approve the selling of CBD products as dietary supplements. So that's one possibility. The other possibility is that the FDA could just reach the conclusion that CBD is, quote, generally recognized as safe, GRAS. That's the acronym, that's the term of art in the law. The World Health Organization, it's my understanding, has basically said that CBD is safe. And so that's a possibility. We're not there yet with the FDA. The FDA could do any number of things, but those are two possibilities they could maybe get to and make some statement on CBD either this year or next year or sometime soon. In the meantime, businesses are starting, businesses are growing, hemp production is going on. This is a new and growing area. The law will catch up at some point. Right now, business is ahead of the law. So that's kind of where we are. If you're an entrepreneur or a small business person who's interested in hemp and CBD, I hope this has helped you. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to let me know. And welcome again today to our first episode of the Legal Scrubs podcast. I hope it has been helpful for you, and I hope you'll subscribe to the podcast. We're going to be talking about a lot of different topics that are business and tax oriented for entrepreneurs and small businesses and healthcare professionals over time. And this is just the beginning of our discussion. And anyway, thanks for listening today, and we'll talk to you next time.